Unfortunately, one of the things that took me an embarrassingly long time to truly understand was the difference between being busy and being productive. And like most people, when the first time I heard this concept being thrown around, I was kind of like, is this real? Like, people actually talk about this shit? Like, it's obvious, isn't it? And I kind of brushed it to one side. But I must have planted some kind of seed in the subconscious somewhere, because a couple weeks later, I looked over the week that I had just had, and I was like, I can't actually identify what I accomplished or what I've done this week. I know I've been really busy, but I don't actually know what I've done. And this kind of concerned me, so I thought I'll pay a bit more attention to it the following week. And I did. And it was a similar sort of thing where I was like, I've been crazy busy this week, but I don't actually know what I've accomplished, or I can't identify anything that I've truly done that served me in any sort of way. And like I say, that's a bit concerning, so I started to look for things that could help me with this problem that I've now identified. And I heard this concept of being busy versus being productive being thrown around. So I thought, let's actually pay some attention to this. It can't hurt. Did a bit of investigating, and I came across some guy, I can't remember who, but he said something along the lines of, for the next 10 or 20 days, write down absolutely everything that you do. And I thought, well, it can't hurt, right? I've identified there's a problem. I don't know what the problem is. I'm not entirely sure what the solution is either, so let's just give this a go and see what happens. So I started writing down everything. And it's a classic case of you don't know what you don't know, because all of a sudden at the end of this process I identified that I was losing a shit ton of time. Like, in the 18 hours or so that I was awake on a daily basis, I was losing close on 6 of those hours to mundane shit that wasn't necessarily serving me in any way. Now obviously you need some downtime and stuff like that, but 6 hours a day of time wasting is unacceptable, especially for me, because I've got massive aspirations and massive goals, and I want to join the 1% and stuff like that. So for me to do that and waste 6 hours a day it's not okay. That's not going to get me to where I want to be. So I had to start finding ways in which I could win some of that time back. And it was stupid shit that you wouldn't think about that I found myself wasting time on. Like, I like coffee, so I was drinking 6 or 8 cups of coffee a day. Now that's not a problem, but the problem was that the canteen is on the other side of the offer. So those 6 to 8 cups of coffee a day was taking me 10 minutes or so per cup of coffee to get from one side of the office, wait in line, buy the coffee, get back. 60 to 80 minutes just in coffee. So I started looking for ways in which I could make things a little more streamlined, a little better for myself, and I started winning some of that time back. And all of a sudden, like a few weeks later, I was looking over my week and I was like, holy shit, I've accomplished this is awesome. I thought, if I'm seeing results like that in my normal 18 hours of being awake, what if I start doing that specifically within the workplace? And this is where it was like a game changer for me, because all of a sudden I identified that the stuff that I was committing quite a lot of time to wasn't necessarily getting me the return on time invested that I thought it was. And in actual fact, the stuff that I was kind of neglecting or not giving as much attention, that was the shit that was getting me the return that I was looking for. So I just started tweaking the way in which that I worked on a daily basis, and the stuff that I was doing. Like, certain things repeated, maybe not on a daily basis, but potentially on a weekly or monthly basis, and it was taking me like a certain amount of time in order to accomplish that. Whereas if I had automated it or tweaked the way in which I did it, I could win some of that time back as well. And I just started doing that, and all of a sudden I was taking on a shit ton more work, and people couldn't believe how much work I was taking on and then delivering, because I was actually productive, not just busy. And this is one of those things where, like, a lot of the times when I'm talking to people and they're like, oh, I'm crazy busy, and you say, oh yeah, with what? And they can't actually say to you what it is, and I kind of give them this advice because it's something that has truly helped me massively. So if you're someone who looks back at your week and you can't pinpoint what you've done and what you've accomplished, maybe it's time you started implementing this and giving it a bash. But maybe you're at the other end of the spectrum and you think I'm talking a lot of shit. The truth is, I give no